Hi everyone, and welcome to my review of the highly anticipated series between the Houston Rockets and the defending champions, the Golden State Warriors. The first round for both teams was relatively uneventful, with the Warriors losing twice to the Clippers and the Rockets dropping one game to the Utah Jazz. After a slow start to the postseason, Durant caught fire in games 3 and 4, carrying the struggling Splash Brothers. To add to the load on Durant, DeMarcus Cousins went down with a torn quad in Game 2 after only 3 minutes of action. Such a shame for the big man in his comeback season after his awful Achilles injury. However, this did not significantly affect the Warriors and KD as he dropped 38 points in Game 3, 33 in Game 4, 45 in Game 5 and 50 in Game 6 to clinch the series on the road. Durant performed at such a high level over this series that many commentators have started to say that he is the best player in basketball right now, above LeBron James, Harden and Giannis. I think the rest of the playoffs will be a great indicator for this question. The Rockets had a quieter first round, winning in 5 games against the Jazz. Harden was able to relax somewhat, averaging 27.8 points per game, down from the 36 he averaged throughout the season. This could be as a result of some great defense shown by the ever-improving Donovan Mitchell, who guarded the reigning MVP for parts of the series. However, Mitchell could not repeat last year's heroics when the Jazz triumphed over the Thunder in the first round. Game 1 was an instant classic. The game had everything the fans wanted. Harden and Durant led the scoring with 35 points each, with all the other stars on the court struggling. Even though the Warriors came away with the win, there were many things that would have worried them. They saw Stephen Curry picking up 5 fouls and flirting with a disaster. They saw 20 turnovers accounting for 1/5 of the Rockets' 100 points. They saw calls that the officiating crew missed, and there were several against both teams. However, the Rockets were considerably more angry in their protests, with Coach Mike D'Antoni receiving a technical foul and Chris Paul being hit with 2, resulting in ejection. Forward PJ Tucker was also scoreless despite open looks. After getting a full screen glimpse of that, as well as Kevin Durant's timely scoring and Green's tremendous all-around game, the Warriors may ought to understand that they were fortunate to come away with a win. It's not that the Warriors were awful. They out-rebounded Houston by 12, the defense was excellent, with Kerr noting that he was pleased with the efforts that limited NBA scoring leader James Harden to 9 of 28 shooting from the field. Durant's 24 points second half was fantastic. Green's energy lit up Oracle Arena. Andre Iguodala scored 14 points with 6 of 7 shooting, adding 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block, and plenty of disruptive defense on Harden. The Warriors also got heavy and mostly positive minutes from Klay Thompson and Curry, both of whom were listed as questionable with tender ankles. The main talking point of the game, however, was the final play. The Rockets needed a 3 to tie up the game and force overtime. Curry, after a very quiet game, drained a clutch 3 to give the Warriors the advantage, before Harden chucked up a 3 with the clock running down. Harden's shot missed by a large margin. However, at first glance, it looked like Draymond fouled Harden as he landed. No foul was called. Chris Paul was ejected for arguing. Mike D'Antoni received a technical, and the game was over. This play caused a lot of controversy, as it is clear here that Harden initiates contact by flying forward after releasing the ball. The flop here isn't quite as embarrassing as CP3 earlier in the game, where Paul kicked out trying to fake contact. Harden's back leg lands almost 4 feet further forward from its starting position. Although there were some poor calls early in the game that went against the Rockets shooters, the refs got this one spot on. Game 2 was a more comfortable victory for the Warriors. Kevin Durant and company brought it on both ends, kept their mouths shut and handled business at home. Durant scored 29 points and established an early defensive tone against Harden, leading the Warriors past the Rockets 115 to 109, as the focus refreshingly returned to basketball after 2 days of constant chatter about the officiating. Sadly, both Curry and Harden suffered injuries that affected their nights. Curry dislocated his finger and Harden was poked in the eye just like last year. After the game, he said that he could barely see and was treated with eye drops. Harden scored 7 straight Houston points during one stretch midway through the fourth, including a 3 at the end of the quarter, bringing the Rockets within 3 points. However, threes from Curry and Klay allowed the Warriors to close the game out. Durant's run of 5 straight performances, scoring at least 30 points, was snapped. He had scored 201 points over his previous 5 games and became the 4th player in NBA history to score 200 plus in such a span, joining LeBron James, Allen Iverson, and Michael Jordan. Thompson and Curry were both enjoying themselves very much out there, with a comfortable lead going into the 4th quarter. However, Harden and the Rockets brought the game to within 2 points, giving the Warriors quite a big scare. But this was not enough, as Curry and Durant managed to keep the Warriors just above the Rockets and take another game. The Warriors managed to keep hold of home court advantage going into Game 3 and 4 in Houston. Game 3 and 4 back in Houston went to the Rockets, despite big performances from Durant. Steve Kerr described the series as middle linebackers versus volleyball players. It was an unexpected but quite effective comparison. A bruising team that looks for contact and spends lots of time on the floor against a long, lean squad that uses teamwork and finesse to build power spikes. This Western Conference semi-final turned into a terrific series during the 2 games in Houston, the type of matchup the league and its fans had been anticipating for a year. The over-the-top complaining about the officiating has gone away after the Warriors' 2 victories in Oakland. James Harden's vision has cleared up and his game has roared back to its MVP level. Kevin Durant is still playing terrifically and his back and forth with Harden is maturing towards historic duel territory. The pressure on Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson was ramping up, and the entire basketball world gained a new appreciation for PJ Tucker. The slump that was weighing Harden down early in the series has vanished and his floater game has returned, giving him the inside-out action that is the basis for his offensive greatness. He had been 8 of 29 on floaters through his 7 playoff games, but he is 5 of 9 over the past 2. Meanwhile, the coaches are locked in a tactical battle. Kerr caught Mike D'Antoni off guard in Game 1 when he put Andre Iguodala into the starting lineup for the first time all season, moving Draymond Green to center. D'Antoni countered by rolling out lineups of Tucker at center that have even more shooting than the Warriors lineups, believe it or not. Game 3 saw Durant drop 46 points and Harden drop 41, as the Rockets won an overtime classic. Curry completely embarrassed himself with a poor performance all around, and then blowing 2 wide open layups in overtime. Game 4 also went right down to the wire, with both Durant and Curry getting off decent looks to tie the game to send it to overtime, but both coming up short. In Game 5, the series was turned on its head. Kevin Durant went down injured in the 3rd quarter with what looked like an Achilles injury. Oracle Arena went silent as the fate of the NBA was in the balance. Durant limped to the locker room after landing awkwardly following a baseline jumper. If he had hurt his Achilles, then his value as a free agent would have dropped significantly. Luckily, Steve Kerr confirmed afterwards that the injury was in fact a calf injury, and Durant would most likely return should the Warriors advance. Golden State managed to build up a lead in the matchup with Durant before the disastrous 3rd quarter, which saw the Warriors manage just 15 points, and the game tied heading into the 4th. However, the Warriors pulled off the victory without Durant, whose 35.4 playoff scoring average was the best in the NBA coming into the game. Stephen Curry turned it up when the Warriors were forced to return to the pre-Durant lineup, with Steph being the main superstar. He finished with 25 points and Klay finished with 27. The loss for the Rockets will be a huge disappointment to the franchise, as they failed to steal a game in Oakland even when the Warriors lost their best player. In Game 6, the Warriors defeated the Rockets 118-113 to clinch a contentious Western Conference semi-final series, which many saw as the de facto NBA Finals. The Warriors, who played without their injured star Kevin Durant, persevered on the road to close out a tightly contested series 4-2. In doing so, Golden State kept alive its dreams of winning 3 straight NBA championships and its 4th in 5 years. Stephen Curry, after going scoreless for the Warriors in the first half, erupted for 33 points in the second, and Klay Thompson was terrific throughout, finishing with 27 points while shooting 7 of 13 from 3-point range, including one that essentially sealed the win in the final minute. The Splash Brothers, as the 2 are known, came through when it mattered most. James Harden had 35 points in the loss of Houston, and Chris Paul added 27 points after struggling for much of the series, but that was not enough. The Warriors have not often been underestimated since they began their run of dominance, but it was unclear how they would cope without Durant, who had been a particularly outsized presence in these playoffs. For Houston, the loss was the latest blow to its efforts to topple the defending champions and win the franchise's first NBA title since 1995. Last season, the Rockets stretched the Warriors to the limit in the conference finals, losing the series in 7 games. This year, after Durant went down, the Rockets appeared to have the Warriors on the ropes again, but Houston could not capitalize behind Harden and Paul. Harden, a favorite to repeat as the NBA's most valuable player, dominated countless opponents this season and frustrated the Warriors by continually drawing fouls on the 3-point shot. Golden State tried to limit his effectiveness by throwing multiple defenders at him. Harden, nevertheless, was averaging 34.8 points through the first 5 games of the series, but even that was not enough. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon. If you're down to burn, you got a plan and you're still in school, or you got a man, but that shit is cool, right? And if you like, you can stay for the night. Don't stay for the love, don't stay for the life. Know my name, then say it to me twice. Let me hear that shit, let me see that shit. You could